Welcome to Practical Talk Time. I'm your host, Usha Kumar. Today, I have with me two lovely guests that are here to help us understand how to get prepared for any kind of disaster. And these guests are from our great organization of Red Cross in the Connecticut area. So please join me in welcoming Natalie Dos Santos. Welcome to the show. And Stacy Hafen. Welcome to the show.
Glad to be here.
It's so nice to have you here. And I can't wait to ask you all the questions that I have in my mind in order to know how to be prepared. Because in the last couple years alone, we've had two big storms which knocked out power. The first time our power was lost for about 6 days, I think 5 days. And this time it was lost about a whole week. And when the weather got cold, we thought we were all prepared and we had all the food we wanted at home. And then, no, we couldn't last more than 5 days. And then we had to go to a hotel or go to one of the shelters. So I don't know why the weather is acting this way. I've lived here for almost 3 decades in this area. And I don't remember having the power go off for more than a couple hours at a time if there was a storm. So
I think at the Red Cross, we've known for a long time that we could get hurricanes here. And I remember just 4 or 5 years ago trying to convince even some local officials that, we can have hurricanes here. And some of them would just, that's not going to happen. So, yeah, definitely, as obviously has happened 2 times in the last 18 months. So that's not an issue for me anymore in my job. That I was able to convince people they need to be prepared.
See, I remember having snowstorms, and at the most the power would go down during just that few hours of the storm. They would just turn down the transformers or whatever and just turn them back on and everything would be fine. But I've never had this summer, this hurricanes coming this far. At the most we used to have some rain and that was it. Yeah. We didn't have this kind of damage and disaster, following such a hurricane. Anyway, I want to introduce your title and everything to our audience. So Natalie, you are the Senior Director for Emergency Services. What do you do in Red Cross?
Well, I'm basically responsible to help the community as well as our volunteers to be prepared in times of disaster. We respond to all types of disasters, fires, hurricanes, winter storms, floods. So it keeps us pretty busy.
And the last couple of years have been extra busy, right?
Extremely busy. And that's why it's so important to have Stacy and her volunteers helping people be prepared at home.
Oh, thank you, Natalie. Stacy, you are the Senior Director for Community Preparedness.
Correct.
What does that mean, and what do you do?
Well, my volunteers and I go around to various organizations, schools, senior centers, businesses, and just talk to them about being prepared for a disaster. And we have what we call 3 actions, and we emphasize those and just remind people that they need to be prepared.
Yeah. I think if you look at Danbury area, that includes all of the Richfield and Bethel viewing areas here. The most things we faced was sometimes maybe you have some extra flooding because of rains, heavy rains or heavy melting of snow, or snowstorms. A few snowstorms and that was it. We didn't really have the kind of disasters we have now, where people are displaced on a larger scale. And also with the current, tragic shootings in Newtown. It's a totally different ballgame, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
that's something that it's hard to prepare for. Those kind of tragedies. But I think what we try to emphasize what we call all hazard preparedness, so that you can be prepared for most of the natural disasters that take place. And so that's probably what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, especially with the storms and these natural disasters that have gotten bigger and fiercer of late. So do we have to prepare for something even worse than what we have now?
Well, I think that everybody should be prepared to take care of themselves for at least 72 hours. And that if it goes longer than that, then that's why we have organizations such as the Red Cross and your local and state governments that help step in to get you through the rest of the time. Obviously, some people can be prepared for 3 days, but there are people that prepare to be at home for 2 or 3 months.
Yes.
So we like to focus on just having every household be prepared to be at home for at least 3 days.
Yeah, I'm still hearing on the news that those people who lost their homes during the Sandy, the hurricane, they still haven't been able to rebuild and get back to their homes. And that's
Right.
going to take a while.
And that's
So
why
they
it's
are
so
totally
important.
displaced.
Yeah, that's why it's important for all the organizations and governments to work together, that we're partners, because then we work together to get those people through it. Because the Red Cross is there for immediately after the disaster, and then it's the other organizations, government that take over and help those people get back. FEMA has been, obviously in our state for a long time now, helping everybody recover from Irene. We still have FEMA here from Irene. So.
We are thankful we have FEMA
Correct, yeah.
and a working FEMA.
Yeah, and we work very closely with them, so, yeah.
Stacy and Natalie, I think both of you must have been extremely busy the last couple of months.
I think it's the last couple of years.
A couple of years,
Yeah.
too. Yes. Even the previous year we had storms. And then during peace times, during quiet times like now, you're able to at least come and talk to the people and at least raise awareness.
Right.
And it's not just something that just comes and goes away, so we don't know what the next thing is going to be. Who knows, some kind of a chemical thing. I hope it's not, but
Yeah.
probably not in this area. But
Right.
then, any kind of
never
thing, or
know.
even illnesses. See, now the flu.
Right.
Flu is just,
Yeah, yeah, we had
the
a,
flu season has been so bad this time.
we prepare for pandemics also. I think a lot of times what I tell when I talk to people about being prepared, I say, you have to think about if there was a flu pandemic where people were told to stay home, and that could be up to 2 weeks. So you have to think to yourself, if I could not go out of my house for 2 weeks, would I be able to survive? What do I have? And though we emphasize only, taking care of yourself for 3 days, there could be times where, it is longer.
Yeah.
So, but definitely we would like for everybody to have some sort of plan and some sort of a supplies kit that is ready to go.
Okay, so what do you want to start with? What do you want to demonstrate or talk about first?
Well, I think what I mentioned a little earlier is we, along with FEMA and other organizations, we reinforce what we call the 3 actions, which is get a kit, make a plan, and be informed. And so the first part of that, get a kit, I think most people understand. And there are all different ways to get a kit. Well, obviously, the easiest way
So
is
what
to...
makes up a kit?
We'll show you this kit. This is one that you can actually purchase from Red Cross website, and they're usually about $30, $40. You can actually buy them at various places. One of my volunteers calls this the lazy man's way to prepare.
One thing is you need a bag, and
You
for
need a
those
bag.
people like me who don't want to carry a bag, we want to have a bag
You can
with
have a
wheels on it. Yeah.
These are called to-go kits because
Okay.
you can carry them, but you can have it in a backpack, and obviously you
Or
can
a
just,
backpack, yeah.
You can even just take sometimes people take pillowcases, and you can go on redcross.org, you can go on the FEMA side, ready.gov, and there are a list of things that you need to have in your kit.
Okay, what
And
all do we
a
have?
lot of these stuff you can collect around the house. Well, one of the things that we have here is something for water. This is actually a water storage, and if you know of disasters coming, you can actually fill
Is
this
it like
up.
a bag?
Yes.
Oh, I
It's
see.
like an expandable bag.
And how much water can it hold? So how many gallons?
I'm not sure the quantity you should have is 1 gallon per person per day.
I see.
And that actually includes being able to use it for sanitary reasons and so forth.
I don't think
So-
1 gallon is enough.
Yeah.
We are used to much more.
Yeah, well, yeah. So this
But
is the
it's
minimum.
okay to be not dehydrated or anything.
And the
Okay.
other thing people can do is obviously just keep water that you can buy at the store, but You can use things like, empty containers and fill it with water. You have to definitely change those pretty often because they, will go bad. But water is obviously one of the most important things to have. So everybody should have some sort of extra water around the house at all times.
Okay, and what is the next thing?
And this is actually just a light stick,
Okay.
so that you can, break it and use it for a few hours.
I see.
And
Is that chemically made so it
Yes,
glow,
yeah.
or does it just glow?
It glows.
It
Yeah,
glows,
So
okay.
it's a good, it's an easy way to have something,
Like-
right at hand. And then obviously the best thing is to have a flashlight with extra batteries. They do have flashlights nowadays that crank.
Yeah, but
They
those
don't
crank
last as
things,
long.
yeah,
They
the
don't
cranks
last as
break.
long,
Yeah.
right. So it's good to have the extra batteries to have that. The other thing that's nice is, you need to have a radio for communication. I think that's what one people found is that, it's hard to communicate if you
Yes,
don't have
because-
your computer, you don't have your TV.
Yeah, your TV is gone. The
Right.
moment your cable is gone, your electricity is gone.
Old-fashioned radio.
Radio.
works. And this one's nice because this one does have a crank,
Crank.
and you can crank this for about a minute, and then you'll get an hour or so.
So where can we get these?
These are, you can buy these at Radio Shack.
Okay.
And you can buy them on redcross.org. You can buy, a lot of stores now carry them. I think
Okay.
especially more in the last 2 years, you see them out more often in
Okay.
the stores. And this actually has a light on it also.
Okay.
And some of
LED.
them, this one even has a place where you can charge your phone.
Oh, I see.
Back here, you can.
Oh,
There's a little
oh,
place to
that's
charge
neat.
your phone. Yeah,
That is
it takes a
neat.
lot of
I'm-
cranking. You have to be pretty
I
strong.
think after the show, I'd like to take a
So,
look at that.
Yeah. So that's a nice thing to have. And this one's nice because it's small. You can have bigger ones. Some of them have they have AM, FM radio, and some of them have the weather
Okay.
band on it.
What else do we have here?
The other thing is this is an emergency blanket, which is good to have, and a poncho. So very
Oh,
very
they are very small, and you can carry it.
And
Okay.
you can buy these at especially outdoor stores too
I see.
if you don't buy the whole kit together. And this looks really delicious. This is food that you can have. So food that's non-perishable, any kind of non-perishable
Vacuum
food.
packed,
Vacuum packed
dried
food,
and whatever.
dried food. And here's actually just some drinking water there in pouches. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's
that are nice
that
to have.
I suppose is the heaviest part of this. thing.
Yeah, it is. And then it's good to have a whistle because I think it's good to let people know if you're
Oh.
stuck somewhere.
Okay.
It's nice to have a whistle. And then obviously,
I've always read about that thing in a kit, but I never put that in a kit.
I actually have one in
myself.
my purse. And
Oh, I
some
see.
people do, yeah, just in case
Oh.
you get stuck somewhere
And you
you
can't
want-
shout and your throat
Right.
is gone, you can still blow the whistle.
Right. And this, I know people kind of laugh about this, but this is duct tape and plastic sheeting. And if for some reason there was a chemical emergency, you would put this on doors and windows
I see.
and shut what we call
Oh,
sheltering in place for a
sheltering in-
chemical emergency. And then a mask. It's good to have a mask in case you have to.
Again, any
around.
smoke or any other.
Work gloves in case you have to move debris. These are the extra batteries. And then also it's good to have.
See, I wouldn't think of putting these things in a bag.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of lists that tell you. But
And what else?
another good
Any
thing
other
to,
important goodies here?
Well,
in
there's-
that thing?
It's more
the same. Yeah.
more water, more
Okay.
food.
But the
Okay.
other thing that's not in here, obviously, is just personal items. It's good to have, your medications. If you can do 90-day, sometimes you can do 90-day and
Prescriptions.
30-day. Sometimes you can get the prescription a little bit before the 90 days are up, so you constantly have a little bit more medication.
Any emergency personal item you need to
Correct.
keep it there.
Diapers, extra reading glasses. If you live in earthquake country, you have to, and it's good at any time to have some sort of footwear. Some people put extra clothes. So, you can fill it up. We recommend, this is what I said earlier, a go bag. We recommend a go bag, which I personally keep them in my car. And as soon as all my kids started driving, I made them put them in their
Oh, I
cars.
see.
And then at home, I have a bigger one. So we have a bigger family kit that we keep somewhere.
So
safe.
now we are done with the kit. We have the kit for the family.
Right. So
And
the
what do we
next
do?
the next step is make a plan, and that's really one of the most important things to do. I think sometimes people think, oh, I have to go out and get all this stuff. I think if you just got water and a flashlight, that would be a good place to start. But the next thing to make a plan is really important. Is sitting down with your family and making sure everyone in the family knows what to do during a disaster. Let's say, for instance, there is a fire in your home, which is one of the most common emergencies that a family has. know where to meet outside your home. Have a meeting place so that everybody goes there after fire.
Yeah.
You also need to have a meeting place if you can't get back to your home, say for flooding or other reasons.
Yeah, so we should have a family meeting place kind
Yeah,
of
it
thing,
could
safe
be
place. But then how do you
a
even
friend,
get there?
a friend or family's,
Okay.
home. And so you have to talk about, all those things. How do you get there? How do you communicate? If you can't communicate by cell phone or
Yeah.
regular means, then you need to have alternative ways. Well, a lot of times what happens, if there's a disaster locally, you're supposed to have an out-of-area contact because you could more easily phone out than people phone in.
Oh,
And then also with the new technology, texting is a good thing to know how to do. Especially when I talk to senior groups, I always tell them if you don't know how to text, have a young person in your life teach you how to do that because it works better than cell phone.
Yeah.
It's more easily, you can communicate more easily with a text. And then also, one of the things that the Red Cross just came out with this year are apps. We have a great app called the First Aid app that you can download for free on your phone, and you can go in and it tells you about all the different kinds of emergencies, bleeding, heart attacks, and tells you what to do. You can call 911 from there. So it's a great app. And then we have like a hurricane app, and I believe they just put out a tornado app. So, and we've had all those, and an earthquake app, and we've had all those disasters in our area recently. So those are good things to have. So some
There's
kind
even
of
a
plan.
flashlight app I saw.
Well,
So I have that downloaded
yeah,
on my
right.
iPhone.
And some of those apps, the apps that the Red Cross all have the flashlight, and they
Flashlight
actually
app.
even have alarms too on
I
them.
see.
So that's a
But
great
then
free app.
they only last a few hours. The battery goes off and you need to recharge them.
Right, but
It's
that's
a big
problem something
there.
that's good to have. The last part of the 3 actions is to get informed, and that's basically to know, especially in your local area, what the plans are. Where in your town is going to be a shelter. A lot of towns, especially most of the towns in this area, have what they call an outcall or emergency information system, so that the towns will give you information, and you can usually go on and put your cell phone, your home phone, your email addresses on there,
Yeah,
and then
the
you
most-
get information.
The most aggravating part is when there is no electricity, nothing works.
Right.
And it becomes very difficult even even if you can get your car out and then drive somewhere. But if there are trees and limbs down on the roads, you can't even get out of your area. That's what happened to us in the previous storm.
Right.
We couldn't go anywhere. There was no electricity, so no use of having apps, nothing, because if you didn't charge it and keep it for that day, you don't even have it for that day. You only have it for a couple hours and it's gone.
Right. So I think that it is good to know. Call your local emergency management and ask them, what their plans are. Especially for those that are a little bit more vulnerable. They need to know where you are, and a lot of towns have groups that will actually go out and check on people that are on those lists. So that's a good thing to know about. So get a kit, make a plan, and be
So
informed.
plan is for the family, how to reach one another, where to meet.
Right.
If not in your house, at another place.
yeah,
What is
another
the
place.
next
Right.
plan B, kind of?
Right.
And then use all of the technology apps and things
Correct.
offered
Yeah.
by Red Cross.
And I know that's a lot of information to take in, so one of the things that I recommend is we go on to redcross.org /be Red Cross Ready. And there's a module there that tells you all this information. It gives you the ability to make a plan and email it to all your family
Okay.
members. It has some videos about actually CPR and putting together a kit and everything. So it's a great thing. You can you can do it at your own pace. It takes about 45 to 50 minutes to do it. So redcross.org, be Red Cross Ready. It's
Yeah, I
a good
did.
thing to
I
do.
think I went up there and checked all of those lists.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing on the list was keeping some cash with you.
Right, it's important to have cash because sometimes the ATMs do not work.
Do not
So
work, and when you
have
need
to
it,
have a
you
little
don't
cash.
get it. And nobody can accept charge cards again when there's no electricity.
Right.
It's
Right.
a
So it's
problem.
good to put a little bit of cash aside. If you have children, don't let them know where it is. Don't let your spouse sometimes know what it is. And you got to have it so that you don't
Each
use
person
it.
should have a secret stash
Right,
somewhere.
you need to have a secret stash. But we did
ready to go.
bring today Choking Charlie. This is actually part of our division, what we call Health and Safety Division, where we teach CPR and first aid. And we're going to have Natalie's going to have Charlie choke on a marble. And so this is just teaching people how to do abdominal thrust. Everybody should know how to do that. And what you do is put your fist, and you put your fist sideways, right below around your belly button.
Yep, if you put your fist
Right below the
just
belly button.
actually just above,
Just above the
just
belly
above
button.
the belly button.
Okay. And you go dump like that.
And it takes a few times. I think Charlie is fairly realistic. One more time, do a little bit more. Almost. So it's hard. It's
But
coming
in
out.
real life,
You can
that's
see it-
how
you
it's
can
going to
see it-
be.
Yeah, you can
In
see
real
it
life,
coming
it's going to
out.
be like that.
Yeah, it does. It takes a few times, but it does work. I had to do this to my son when he was 18 months old, and he choked on a carrot. And it was, even for me, for part of the Red Cross, it was still frightening. And
Because
the
at the
meantime,
time you're
somebody
nervous.
calls 911.
Yeah.
But in the meantime,
you
we
can
were,
do this.
yeah.
Because the kid is anxious and crying or whatever, and you're or
Right.
turning blue, and then you're trying to.
Right. So you
do
keep
this.
doing it, but to learn everything, we recommend you going on to redcross.org and to sign up for a class, and you can take a class
see.
to learn.
Do you
But-
have regular classes
We do.
during the year?
Yes, we do.
So if
yeah.
there's one coming up, people can go and look it up and
Correct.
sign
Yeah.
up. Okay.
But I say we do have videos on redcross.org, so people can, at least it's good to watch these videos once so you have some idea of what you can do during an emergency.
Natalie and Stacy, with all your experience, because you've been in the business for 25, 30 years,
Yes.
40 years, maybe. Yeah, 40 years from the time you started to volunteer.
Yep.
And you have been there for almost
yeah, about
a
16 or
decade,
17
17
years.
years. So can you give us some ideas about, for each type of disaster, what is more important to know, something like this? Here, this is when somebody chokes. So when trees and things fall everywhere, how do we get out of there? Do you tell people how to do that?
I think one of the most first important things that everyone really needs to think about is safety. Everybody needs to make sure that they're safe, that their family is safe. So trying to cross trees that are down, you don't know if there's going to be electrical wires that are in between the limbs or things like that. So always, always, always think safety first.
So avoid those roads and inform
And the good thing,
inform the town or electricity company,
right? Yeah.
utility company.
And it is good to have a old-fashioned landline phone today.
Oh, I see.
But then it's also if you are on voiceover, so that will die eventually. But there are battery backups that you can get for 6 to 8 hours. So it is good to inform somebody right away that you think you might have a problem, and while you can still communicate. But I suggest everybody get
But
a
you cannot
landline
go
phone.
and try to remove it out and
Oh, no,
out of your way.
absolutely not. You always assume that it's a dangerous situation. But
What
but
happens in flooding? When
for floods, that's why it's important to listen. If you know there's a situation coming, to listen. This is part of the be informed. To make sure you're on these lists if towns are going to call and let you know that there's a problem. Because if you need to evacuate, you need to be ready to go. And you should not stay. I think that was unfortunately very obvious during Hurricane Sandy. Some people did try to stay, and with deadly results. So you need to stay aware, stay tuned, and if they tell you to evacuate, you need to evacuate. And in most cases, there's going to be a shelter to go to. So.
And again, if it's health-related disasters, what do we do?
Like for the pandemic flu.
Yes, pandemic
for
flu,
that,
whatever.
for that again, you need to be informed and do some reading about that, and to be able, you might need to stay in your home for a few days, and that's why sometimes we have these masks and things to help you. So.
I know that there are things which we cannot plan for. So suddenly there's something happening and people are going haywire and shooting, this, that, whatever. How does one prepare for that? What do we do?
Well, I think that you can be prepared for many things. Unfortunately, for certain tragedies, there's just no way to prepare for them. You need to just, be prepared for natural disasters, be safe, use common sense.
But obviously there are, I think, and especially now, schools have become more aware of that they have to do their own planning.
Yeah.
And so they do drills. We do drills all the time.
So keep yourself
Planning
safe
for everything.
is one thing.
Right, yeah.
And if you're at home, teach your children to be safe. You have some kind of a plan, same way you have it in the school.
Right. All the schools,
Go
business
lock yourself
organizations.
in a room or get yourself to safety.
Everybody's supposed
call.
to have a plan of what to do for all kinds of disasters, for a pandemic flu, and how to keep their business going if a lot of the 50% of your employees can't make it. For something as tragic as what's happened recently, I think obviously this school did almost everything that it could. And you don't know because of that how many lives actually were saved, even though tragically lost some.
Yeah.
So, but definitely it's good to know. Ask your business, ask your school district, what are the plans and what should I do and not do.
Yeah, it's surprising that as businesses, people work in businesses, but they have nice, good plans for disaster. They save all of the information elsewhere. They have other plans. They have they have some kind of a tree to call people. But then at home, we don't do that.
Right.
For the families, we should just follow the same system and take our time to make a plan. So we have a kit, and then we
Make a kit. Get a kit. Make a plan.
Make a plan and
and
Be informed.
be informed. So keep ourselves informed.
Yep.
That is wonderful. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Natalie. Thank you,
Thank you.
Stacy, for coming here and explaining all this to us. And it's been such a pleasure. There's so much I learned today. And I hope our audience learned too. And thank you all for watching. And until next time, goodbye.